At Yamas, we distribute products for animals. We cover cats, dogs, birds, and small animals. We are the third generation in the field of animals. It all started with my grandfather, who was a Purina merchant in Victoriaville. In 1989 to 92, we changed the model. We became a distributor in the form we currently are, and we went from a few thousand square feet to 126,000 square feet.
At Yamas, we now have 70 employees in Quebec, the Maritimes and Ontario to serve Eastern Canada. We have over 10,000 products that we distribute with a total of 124,000 square feet of warehouse space. 60,000 square feet are dedicated to food, and the remaining space is dedicated to accessories and our complete inventory.
We deliver to approximately 500 customers per week, which means about 1,000 orders for us to prepare. About 5 years ago, we experienced significant growth, and the warehouse was running out of space, so we launched the expansion project with RGP.
In the past, we drew our own warehouse designs, but this was a very big expansion, so we wanted to do it right. We wanted to be challenged on all of our procedures to see if everything was correct.
During the project, he proposed MSK as an external firm for the warehouse layout.
I mentioned that MSK could be their ally in this project and at the same time facilitate our project and our design. At first, it seemed like they had their suppliers, but I reiterated that there might be an advantage in terms of optimization with MSK.
During the expansion, we experienced a labor shortage. We also had very strong growth, which made us question our operations. We wanted to automate in order to facilitate all of our operations. At that point, we decided to ask Serge if there was a solution to our problems, and that's when the VNA and VLM were presented to us. By doing the layout in advance, it allowed us to properly place the electricity, lights, ventilation, and sprinkler system so that it would be optimal for everyone in the process and for the company long term.
I knew that we could optimize the square footage of the warehouse by having a more custom racking instead of just distributing and installing it. Sometimes when we don't have the services of professionals, we assume certain things and lose time going back and forth for no reason. Whereas when we have the right people in the right places, we maximize our time and turnkey service is offered, ensuring that the final product meets the customer's desires.
With MSK, we visited projects they had completed in other companies, and what we retained, which is the best thing for us, was pushbacks. In our case, we opted for pushbacks with 2 pallet depth. This allows us to have 1 pallet of overstock always behind and all the rest of the overstock above it.
The fact that we have 2 pallets of depth allows us to eliminate 1 row, so we can fit more products in less space. To work in the VNA, you need to buy holder pickers. We had them slightly modified to fit the 6-foot aisle we had. We modified a cage with MSK to do our picking, specifically adapted to our needs. The VNA is used for storing everything that is in large quantities, containers, large volumes, and everything that is on pallets for picking. Having narrow aisles in a small space allows us to fit a lot of racking. This enables picking at height with 2 products on each side of the picker. It makes us much more efficient and more profitable. The idea of the VLM stemmed from a lack of personnel, and we had a problem where people were putting products back order that we physically had in the warehouse.
The VLMs we chose are 34-foot VLMs, since our warehouse doesn't have a 34-foot ceiling. So we decided to put them outside the building, so we put an external concrete slab, and then we made a shell around the VLMs. Physically, the 2 VLMs represent approximately 500 to 600 square feet. For us, in conventional warehouse space, that represents practically 10,000 square feet.
All the merchandise for a month is in the VLM, so we know we don't have any backorder products that we physically have in the warehouse.
For the person responsible for picking orders in the VLM, its use is super simple. For us, we send a list from our ERP to the VLM. The products are brought one after the other. When the tray arrives, there are compartments inside, and there is a projector that shines light on the product to be picked, and the screen tells us how many we need to pick. The VLM and VNA have challenged our entire operations. We had to rethink everything, including the computer system, because the computer system had to follow our new internal processes. To achieve this, it required MSK's involvement. First, the VLMs needed to be set up because we needed an algorithm to determine which product to place with which. Then we needed to bridge the gap between the ERP and understand what the VLM needed from it. We asked ourselves if our ERP was the right software tool, and Miriam helped us establish a sort of benchmark at that level, what we needed, what it did, and the competition.
A support team was with us at night while we were filling out orders to immediately address all the problems that arose.
Since the end of the break-in period, every time we had problems, we called the MSK team, and they were present, whether it was day or night. They were there.
With all the changes we made to the warehouse, it allowed us to save 2 to 3 people, to become more consistent, which is very important for our clients, and not to put back order any products that we physically have in the warehouse.
The VLM allowed us to pick 3 orders at once, something we couldn't do before.
We went from 86 lines per hour to 121 or 122 lines per hour. From memory, the VNA represents approximately 15,000 square feet. If we did it in standard racking, it's about 30,000 square feet of warehouse. The changes we made, if we had gone a little further, we would have had a third VLM, we would have pushed the VNA a little further, and we would have likely expanded the warehouse. If we had known beforehand, the VNA would have been in the new warehouse and much higher.